and welcome to week 4 of the last 60 days challenge. And this week, we are going to talk about our relationship with other people. And I thought this is the perfect week to talk about this because next week is Thanksgiving if you're here in the United States, and you're probably going to be meeting more people that you maybe not met, not more people that you don't see as often. When I say meet, I'm saying not meeting them for the first time, but actually get together with people. A lot of you may go visit family from far away or may have big gatherings. And that can be very happy week, but can also be a very difficult week if you have trouble with the people around you. And then also in December, we have a lot of holidays and a lot of things that are going to be coming up. And I know that brings a lot of emotions to a lot of people. So let's talk about our relationship with others and how we can improve on that area in our lives, right? So this episode will be a little difficult to swallow. And we will have one more week during this challenge talking about our relationship with other people. But this is kind of an introduction on the topic. And there are a lot of truths that is hard to swallow. And I think the main truth in this whole challenge that is very, very hard to swallow is the truth that we have more control over our lives than we give ourselves credit for it. So we tend to walk in life with a victim mentality. And that is something that we are the people around us and society kind of program us to do, right? Because if you make a mistake or if you fail, you're wrong. So we are kind of programmed to put ourselves on a victim situation, because if we're a victim, in theory, we are not wrong, right? And that I remember I used to be, and I'm still very confrontational. If you know me, I'm just a challenger at heart, and I question things, and just God made me like that. Um, but I was very, very confrontational. And I remember reading a book that I absolutely love. I think every person should read. It's called The Big Leap. And in that book, the writer talks about how when you're in a fight with somebody, when you're confronting somebody, two people in a fight means that those two people consider themselves the victim, and they're trying to prove to the other person and to everybody else that they are the victim. And I thought, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so true, because everybody that I fight with, I'm like, I am right, and they are doing this to hurt me. So I want them to understand that I am the victim because I am being hurt. And all I'm doing fighting is just showing them that I am the victim and I'm being hurt. And then the other side is doing the same thing. I'm the victim. I'm being hurt. You disrespected me, or something on that direction, which put the other person in a victim mode as well. So that really changed how I see confrontation, because now every time that I feel my heart like wanting to go into the confrontational mode, I'm still a work in progress, okay? But I am training my brain to look at and say, okay, how am I putting myself in the victim position here? Because I don't want to be a victim. I want to be a winner. I don't want to be a victim. So I need to train my brain to not put myself in the victim position, because that's how our brain kind of goes into default. They put ourselves in the victim position. So a big part of this challenge is for us to know that we have more control that we give ourselves credit for, and understand that being a victim is not going to take us anywhere. If we want to live the abundant life that Jesus has for us, we need to take responsibility and change our actions, right? It changes our will. So our soul is our mind, our will, and our emotions. So a part of be renewed, be transformed by the renewing of your mind is to change your mind, change your emotions, and change your will, change your actions, right? So we are no longer, we make a decision. I'm no longer going to be a victim. I'm going to take authority. God wrote Genesis 1. God gave us authority. We are made in his image. We've talked about this before in previous episodes. We are made in his image and we are given authority and dominion. We have the authority. We are not victims. We have the authority. We have more control that we give ourselves credit for. Do we have control over everything? No, because every human being have your circle of authority, and that's never over another human being. Each human being have your own authority, and then authority over resources that God the creator give it to us, right? So when we talk about relationships, let's get this straight. We have more control than what we give ourselves credit for, and we need to train ourselves to stop being a victim of our circumstances. So knowing that, I have two things to tell you that when I learned that, it really hurt. It was, we teach others how to treat us by the way we treat ourselves. And we teach others how to love us by the way we love ourselves. And this is hard to hear because we were taught by society, by the people around us, by our religious systems, by our school systems, by everything and everybody, that people will love us based on the way we treat them. That's why most of us struggle with people pleasing, because we think that if we please them, we treat them so good, they're going to love us. But if that was true, there would be no toxic relationships. And I feel very strong because I talk to many, many people. I am a talker, I'm a communicator, I'm always talking to people everywhere I go. And a lot of people are having less than ideal relationships. And I'm not just saying like in marriage relationships, I'm saying all relationships. So you may have a great marriage, but you have difficulty with family members or difficulty with a friend group. Or you may have great friends, but you have difficulties with your spouse. Um, so I'm not saying that only one type of relationship will be toxic. All types of relationships can be great and all types of relationships can be toxic. So I don't want you to think about just one type of relationship. I want you to look around at every single relationship with people you have in your life. It can be at your work, at your workplace, your coworkers, your colleagues. It can be at your school, whichever you whatever where you have people around you, those people are people you're in relationship with. Okay. So you are teaching them how to treat you and how to love you by the way you treat yourself and you love yourself. And the idea that people are going to love us based on how we please them, you already understood, right? That's a lie. You got to remove that lie, you got to replace with the truth. So the big question is here, and I think that's the big question for this episode. How do we change the relationships we already have? Because I'm going to tell you right now, you can understand that. You can say, okay, being a people pleaser is actually not creating great relationships. It's actually creating codependency. It's creating toxic relationships, right? Um, so I get it. This is a lie. People are not going to love us if we based on how we treat them. And I'm going to say, if you treat people like trash, most likely they're not going to love you anyway. But what I'm saying is that if you're a people pleaser, that does not guarantee that they're going to love you. Okay? If you treat them like trash, there's a guarantee that most likely they're not going to like you. unless they have so much codependency and people pleasing issues with themselves that they are attracted to that type of behavior, which that happens too. Um, but that's not the majority, right? But and you also don't want somebody to love you because of their trauma, because there's a whole set of problems that come with that too. So you want people to love you authentically as you love them authentically, and there will be people out there that you may not even want them to love you. You may work with people that they're okay, but you don't want to have a personal relationship with them. You want to have just a work relationship. That's completely fine. Still, they have to treat you with respect, and you have to treat them with respect during that time in the workplace, right? So that's what I'm saying, that this is so much bigger than like a marriage relationship. This is with all the relationships in your life. And the the proof that it is so true that we teach people how to treat us and how to love us based on how we treat and love ourselves is usually people that have codependency relationships. They have codependence relationships in all areas of their lives. And those people are people that struggle with people pleasing. I know because I experienced this for a long time in my life, and pretty much every single woman that I know, not every single one, but a lot of you that I talk to every day, a lot of the women I worked with, um, both in my coaching business, but also women that I led Bible studies. If you know me, I love the Bible studies, and I've been leading women, or in the past year, I've been just participating in local Bible study. A lot of people struggle with that, right? So we tend to create those codependence relationships because we put ourselves last. We treat ourselves as we are unworthy of love, that we are unworthy of being uh, put in a place of respect. And we do everything for everybody else because we think that by doing that, they're going to love us. So we find ourselves overwhelmed. We find ourselves doing everything for everybody and getting nothing for us. We find ourselves serving and serving and serving, and then when we need something, or sometimes it's not because we need something, but in my case, a lot of times I was physically sick, physically ill, and I still felt guilty if I was not serving, even though I was extremely sick and taking care of three kids. Right? And I was not outside serving another person, like a fourth person, not my kids. I was feeling guilty about it because that was how low my um, that I would say self-esteem. But really, if you look from the outside, I never had a self-esteem problem by the world consider self-esteem, but I had an unworthiness belief in my heart, right? So I felt like I had to do all these things for all these people. So the problem that we create is that we train people to see us that way. So every time they need something, they know, you know what I'm going to say? They can count on you. And then you say, well, but it's great that people can count on me. Yes, it is great that people can count on you and that you are trustworthy, but it's not great that you will put your basic needs last so you can do things for everybody else. And there are people in our life that we are called to take care more closely. In different seasons, there are different needs. So if you have little kids at home, most likely you have to take care of their needs because they don't know how to take care of themselves. So you have to, it's your divine assignment during that season is to put their needs sometimes even ahead of yours. The problem is when we put everybody else's needs ahead of our physical needs. And that's where we start to create that codependence and that codependency and those toxic relationships. Okay, so what do you do if you have already some relationships in our life, in your life, that you think that could improve, that you do not want, you want to break that cycle of codependency, you want to break that cycle of being toxic. And some relationships, the quick fix is to just stay away from it, but not every relationship we can do that, right? um, we can, quote unquote, break up with friends, just you don't have to fight, you just stay away from, grow apart. That's completely fine. We do grow apart from people from time to time, but when we talk about family members or our spouse, we have to work on those relationships, because those relationships are not as easy to um, just grow apart. You know what I'm saying? You may grow apart spiritually, but physically you're still there, right? Um, so the best way that I found, even working with other women that had different issues that I had, because I am a person that I will walk away if possible really easy, which is not a good habit either. I'm not recommending everybody to do that, but through my lifetime, I was kind of trained to do that. So as a child, my parents would move a lot, and pretty much every year I moved to a different school. The school that I stayed longer was 3 years, but I moved it a lot. I moved schools a lot. I moved neighborhoods a lot. So it became easy for me to like have these friends and then just kind of grow apart because I was moving to another place, right? And then when I was 16, I came to be a foreign exchange student in US. All my friends in Brazil kind of graduated together. I was only on that school for 3 years anyway, but I didn't graduate with them. And then I end up going to college, and then I moved back to United States. So like my whole life was kind of training me to make it easy to break apart from people without having to fight them. Just life is taking me to another direction, right? So when I am on a friendship that I feel like it's not going the direction I want to, it's easy for me to just grow apart, go do something else. But there are other relationships in my life that I kept, and I went through issues and then kind of grew with it and went through it, right? But I've worked with a lot of women who had issues in relationships in their lives that I didn't have. So I can speak both from experience and from working with these women. Okay. And what I want to tell you is that the change starts with you. The change starts with you taking responsibility and breaking that cycle. And you do not start by telling them how to treat you. You start by you changing the way you treat yourself. You start by you changing the way you love yourself. You start by doing the few small things that you were not doing. And we talked about that a couple weeks ago when we talk about our relationship with our body. That is very, very important. Our relationship with our body is very important. It's a very important base to our relationship with other people, because if we are not doing the basic needs of our body, if we are not nourishing our body with the right foods, if you're not going pee the time when we have to go pee because we just want to finish up this work, or because we want to just do this thing for somebody else first and then we're going to go pee. I mean, this sounds so simple, but so many people I know just make that mistake, right? It even sounds stupid when you hear, but a lot of us make that mistake. So if you're not moving your body, if you're not working out or walking or whatever, what you choose to do to move your body, because you don't have time, and that is a big one for me. Like, I don't like to work out. So I always fall into that excuse, like, I don't have the time, which that shows that I'm putting myself last. I'm putting the needs of everybody else before my physical basic need, which is having a healthy body. Because if I don't have a healthy body, I'm not going to be able to take care of anybody. Okay. So if you have not listened to that episode, it's 2 episodes ago, go back there, listen to that, because that's very important base for this episode, which is your relationship with other people. So you start um, teaching people how to treat you by the way you treat yourself. You start teaching people how to love you by the way you love yourself. So that's the first step. If you need to change, if you have relationships right now that you need to change, first change how you treat and love you. You don't even need to tell them. You just change your behavior with yourself and they will see it. The problem that you will find with this is that the people in your life are already used to having a version of you that does not take care of yourself, that put them first. They're used to that and they like that. Not because on their conscious level they want you to do everything for them, but it's comfortable, right? You take care of them. People like to be taken care of. It's our subconscious mind automatically say, okay, now this person is not going to take care of me first. This is a problem. And once again, this is not, they're not thinking this through. This is subconscious mind work. We've had the first episode of this challenge. I talked a lot about how our subconscious mind works. So if you missed that, go back and listen to that one. And as you can see, this challenge kind of builds upon each week. So if you were joining kind of in the middle, I I highly recommend you go back and kind of binge listen to week 1, week 2, because it kind of builds into it. Okay. So you are going to find as you change the way you treat yourself, even though you're not telling these people to treat you any different yet, you're just changing how you treat yourself, changing how you prioritize yourself, you're going to find resistance because people use it to treat you in a certain way. So, one example of this is my family, we have a habit, my extended family, we have a habit of making fun of each other. And there are things that we making fun of each other that is okay, and there are things that we make fun of each other that are hurtful, right? But we are used to, we grew up like that, and I know a lot of families that are like this. We kind of make our own joke about our problems, right? I heard one time a person saying that they were talking about their relationship with money, and they said that their family just joke about that all the time. They say we're so broke we can't even pay attention. And I thought that was pretty funny. But at the same way, like we fall into those habits of making fun of each other and making fun of the problems that we have. And when I decided to change one area of my life specifically, it started to trigger me when my family was making fun of me on that specific area. And they've been making fun of me in that specific area for 35 years, 37 years. So for them, when I start cutting and say, I don't think that's funny, it was weird. They were like, what is going on with you? Like, this is not news. Okay. We've been laughing about this for all those years, but they didn't know everything that I was like going through my own personal journey, right? Of starting to love myself and starting to treat myself differently. So those things that did not bother me before, it bothers me now. And as I start putting a stop to it, it was an issue, not any like there was no fights or anything, but they thought it was weird, right? And you're gonna find that into your own journey, like you're gonna change the way you treat yourself, and the people around you are gonna think, what is wrong? Like what that's weird. Like when I stopped drinking, my parents thought that I was like super sick. that I had some type of uh, deadly disease. And I was like, no, I want to change. Like, I don't want to live like an alcoholic anymore. I want to change. So people, even when you do things that is best for you, even the people that love you the most and want the best for you, like they're not used to that new you. They're used to that old you. And for their subconscious mind, it is a change, and their mind see change. Our human mind usually see change as dangerous, and they're like, okay, something's wrong. That's changing, something's wrong. So you're going to find those issues as you start to love yourself different, as you start to treat yourself different. So the second step, so the first step is for you to start loving and treating yourself differently. And the second step is that for you not to take it personal when people that you love and that love you react to you differently. And this one is really hard because you're like, you're working really hard on yourself. You are trying to take care of your body. You are trying to um, respect you, your mind, and everything. And you're doing all this work that nobody sees. And then the people that are closest to you, they don't know about it, but we don't think about those things, right? And then when they see a problem and they confront that problem, we feel like we're not being supported. But the thing is, a lot of the times they don't know that. They don't even know that we need that support. They don't even know what is going on in our lives because they also have crap going on in their lives, right? Everybody's busy. Even if there are people you see every day, like everybody's busy. Everybody got work, everybody got bills to pay, everybody got health issues. Everybody's doing their own thing. So it's not like they're doing that on purpose. They don't know. So the second step into this is that we give them grace. There's a difference between giving grace and accept the mistreatment, right? But we give themselves grace because they don't know what they don't know. And then as we continue to act into respect with ourselves, treat ourselves with respect, treat ourselves with love, they are going to get with the program. So for example, for years, I haven't drank for 3.5 years now. And in just, I would say the last 6 months, that my parents stopped offering me wine when every time they open a bottle of wine, they would still offer me, do you want just a glass? And it's not because they want me to drink or me to fail. It's the habit. Like they're Italians. That's how they grew up. That's what their parents did. That's what their grandparents did, you know? And they um that like that habit. So just now, like they're with the program, yeah, maybe she's taking the sober thing serious. It's better that we stop. We're not going to even waste our time offering her anymore. So it will take time for you to retrain the people in your life to treat you different once you start treating you different. And 90% of the relationships we have, 90% of the people around us, they love us and we love them and they love us and they want the best for us, but they just don't know what they don't know, right? And they're also humans going through their own crap, going through their own trauma and dealing with all that. So we have to take that into consideration. That said, there is that 10% of people who are toxic, who are not willing to do the work to progress, who are not willing to respect other human beings, who are just not deserving of our time and space. And those relationships we're going to need to be strong enough to walk away. And that is a decision that you have to be making with you and your relationship with God. God's going to guide you. If you missed the last episode talking about your relationship with God, go listen to that. If you are in this situation, you more than ever have to be in contact with the Spirit of God and getting direction and wisdom to do the right thing. Once again, this is not the majority, this is the minority. I believe that most people want to live in good relationships with their family members, their friends. Most people want to do better and to have a better life, but once in a while you will find that very difficult person that needs professional treatment and they're not willing to go get it. And for your sanity, you are allowed to love them from afar. So I want to give you those words because I know that sometimes we feel like somebody's being put in our life and it's our responsibility to change them, and it's not. It's never our responsibility to change anyone. uh, the Holy Spirit convicts that person directly, and it's only that person responsibility to change themselves. Do you remember I talk about we don't have authority over other people? We only have authority over ourselves and our resources. Wanting wanting to have the responsibility to change somebody else is us trying to have authority over somebody else, is us trying to manipulate the other person, even if it's for their own good. So we can still love them, but we have the right to love them from afar. If you find yourselves in a toxic relationship where the person does not want to make progress to change, okay? And if you are in a relationship where you are in physical danger, you have to get help and leave. Like if you're in physical danger, you have to leave. You have to get help, okay? So I want to leave that out there because I talked about restoring relationships. I truly believe that we can restore we can restore most of the relationships we have in our lives, and it all starts with us loving ourselves and then loving others the way we love ourselves, right? That is the commandment. So I hope that helps today. This is kind of an introduction of our relationships with others. Next week we're going to talk about money. But in a few weeks down the road, we will go back to this relationship topic and we will go to like more steps to that. But I think these first two steps are already a lot to practice and a lot of work. And it will give you a lot to journal about, a lot to pray about, and just trust. The only thing I tell you is to trust that God will give you the wisdom to do what you need to do to restore the relationships that can be restored. Okay? I love you guys and I hope you have a great day. Bye bye.